Hey all, I'm here to show you guys how to do online testing through Edugence and to show you some of the tools that come with the online assessment. So first, when students open up the test, this is what it will look like. If you'll notice, it gives you a question but does not give you the passage associated with that question. In order to see the passage, all you have to do is click the question over here and the passage will automatically appear. So from there on out, the passage will appear on top and the question will appear on bottom. And if you want to go to the next question, it'll stay at the bottom to show you the question and the passage will remain on top. Then let's say you have a different passage, it will show you that passage as well on top in those questions. So this is one way to view the test, and this is called question by question viewing, but there's also whole test viewing. So let's say that you want to see the whole test at once. Up here at the top is a toggle button. So if you click that, it will show you the whole test, so all the passages and all the questions. And so you just have to scroll up and down for those questions. You can still use these quick view buttons over here to skip to a question, and you can use this scroll to the top button to scroll back to the top if you want to skip around questions. So let's say a student has marked questions 1 and 11 as questions they need to revisit. This is a great way to go back and forth between those questions. So I'm going to switch back to question by question viewing because it's going to be the easiest one for students to use. And I'll explain that later, especially when it comes to using the audio tools. Right now, I'm going to explain how to annotate a passage using the tools in Edugence. So up here, you have 3 options for annotation. The first one is highlighting, the second one is a strike through, and the last one is a scratch pad. So in order to highlight and strike through, you need to make sure that you highlight whatever you want to highlight first with your cursor before you click the highlight or the scratch through. If I click the highlight button and then try to highlight with my cursor, nothing is going to happen. So make sure you highlight with your cursor first and then click the buttons up at the top. And the same goes for the strike through button. So I need to highlight with my cursor first and then click strike through. Let's say I decided I accidentally strike through paragraph 8 and I want to undo that. You have this button up here called undo formatting. Just like with the highlight and strike through button, you need to make sure you highlight first before you click this. But once you do that, it'll return it back to what it looked like before. Something really cool about Edugence is you can actually highlight and strike through the question stems and the answer choices. So let's say you need to highlight this word right here and this word right here. And then you want to strike through some of the answers. So let's say C is an answer choice that you know is absolutely know is incorrect. So I can go ahead and highlight that answer choice and click strike through. Easy done, and when you go to the next question, your highlighting and strike throughs on that passage will still be visible. So the last tool that you have is a scratch pad. Something to note about the scratch pad is that this is where you can take notes. So let's say I want to say this passage is important. Very important to know as you go through the test, this scratch pad is the only scratch pad you have. So you cannot have more than one scratch pad, but you can move it anywhere and it's easy to delete or add information onto it. Just know that you cannot put another scratch pad. And again, if you want to take the scratch pad away, you can click this button up here and then you can click it again and you'll get the same information you did before. So the scratch pad doesn't delete itself or anything that's in it. You can just make it appear and disappear. But again, you only have one scratch pad throughout the whole test. So the second thing I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that Edugence has a feature that will read questions to students. So the easiest way to use this feature, which is up at the top, is by doing question by question. If you do whole passage, it's going to be a little bit more confusing, but I'll show that to you as well. But let's say you want to read question number 1. You have 3 features on here. So you have the play, so this will play and stop. You have the rewind and the play rate. So when you play and stop, anytime you play and stop, it will return to the beginning of the question. Anytime you rewind, it will also return to the beginning of the question. Play rate depends on how fast you want it to play. Notice that there's also this feature right here, the select text to read feature. It's not currently working, so make sure you don't tell your students not to use that one yet. So we're going to go ahead and play question 1.
Question 1. Score 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending? Answer: A. Browser. Browsing, paragraph 5. B. Lingering, paragraph 11. C.
So a couple things to note about this reading tool. It's always going to appear at the top of the screen, and unfortunately you can't move it, but it'll always be at the top of the screen. Just like I said, anytime you press play or pause, it will return to the beginning of the question. So I'm going to go ahead and play it again, and it'll return to the beginning of question 1.
Question 1. Score, 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending?
This time I'm going to show you guys what it does when you move the play rate and also when you press rewind.
Question 1. Score, 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending? Question 1. Score, 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending? And question 1. Score, 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending?
So you can see that the play rate will change how fast it reads the question and answer choices to the students. Then anytime you click rewind, you'll have to press play and pause again. So it's just as useful just to keep hitting play and rewind. Something that you need to notice and need to tell your students is that if you're playing a question and you go to the next question, it'll continue to play until you stop it. So we're going to do that.
Question 1. Score, 1.0. Which word from the selection means supporting or recommending? Answer. A. Browsing.
So notice it continues to read question 1 even though I'm on question 2 now. All you'll need to do is go up here and click stop, and then you'll hit replay.
Question 2. Score, 1.0. What evidence does the author provide to support the claims he makes in paragraphs 5 through 7?
So as you see, as soon as you hit stop and play, it'll actually read the next question. So like I said before, it's most beneficial to use this in question by question viewing, but you can use it whenever you're doing the whole test viewing. Just note that anytime you want it to read a new question, you're going to have to scroll to the top and actually click that question. It won't automatically start reading the next question for you. So as students start to finish their test, they will be able to submit it and they will be able to revisit any questions they want. This is all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, you can contact me